God is visiting not only all nations, but all religions. And I've told you about the Sikhs, and I've told you about the Hindus. Now I will tell you about a Buddhist. We call her Grandma Tan. She was a wealthy Chinese living in Indonesia, in the island of Java. And I stayed in her home several times for a week at a time. And I loved her. I could speak with her in Chinese because I speak Chinese. And so I got to know her quite well. And her story is one of these miracle stories that people love to hear about. Grandma Tan had a heart condition. In fact, her heart was so bad that she could not take care of her own younger children. So the aunties raised the sons and the daughters. And one day, when she was in her early 40s, she died. She'd been a very fervent Buddhist and had faithfully served and worshipped her ancestors. They not only worship gods, but they worship their ancestors and pray to their ancestors. And every day they have a little tablet on the wall where you can put rice and some selected food and fruit, and you have these incense sticks that you light so that they fumigate the room and offer like prayers, like the Catholic Church has candles with light, and so that the fumes will go up. And they had it in the tabernacle too, remember? The menorah, we had the lights, and so it's scriptural as well. Some of these things really come from the Judaism handed down, and only it's kind of perverted, especially in Buddhism. And so she was very fervent, and that had to be perfect every day before the servants could do anything. And they were very well-to-do because they had a big sugar factory. And she died and went to hell. And a Bible woman was walking down the street. And today we call her a lady preacher, but in those days they called them Bible women. And the Lord said to her, I want you to go and raise Grandma Tan from the dead. I have a work for her to do. And she said, but I've heard she died. He said, I want you to go and raise her up. So she went to the house and she said, can I pray for Grandma Tan? And they said, it's too late. She has already died. She'd been dead over a day. And now the whole family had gathered around, were standing around her bed. And they were going to do the first part of the funeral. They take her body off the bed. It's a ceremony. It's called the encoffining ceremony, where they take her body off the bed and put it in the coffin. It's the last time she'll ever sleep in that bed. And it's a sad time. It's really the saddest time. It's like seeing the body carried out of the house. And they loved her dearly. She was a kind, good woman. And so they said, it's too late. She said, well, just let me pray. Of course, they let her pray. The Chinese are courteous people. And so she laid her hand on her and began to pray. And Grandma Tan opened her eyes, and they began to scream. And she sat up, and she turned to the tablet on the wall, and she said, take that thing off the wall. From this day on, this house worships Jesus Christ. And they thought she had gone crazy. She would come back to life, but now she was crazy. And they said, what happened? What happened? She said, well, I was in this dark, terrible, dreadful, evil place. And the man of light called Joan came to me and told me his name was Jesus. and said he was sending me back, that he had a work for me to do, and I must worship him. As a result, her whole family became believers, became prominent leaders. They were wealthy in all of Indonesia. Well, we call wealth, they call wealth there. But they were very well-to-do. And they became, I learned to know, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those brothers, prominent men of God, of her sons, and worked with them. And the wife of one of them painted the most beautiful picture of Jesus that I've ever seen. She had it standing, and Jesus taught her how to paint it. She had never painted a thing in her life. Jesus said, paint a picture of me. And she got out some paint, and she painted Jesus. And had it was so big, so big. I have it at home. And she put it on the chair to dry. And every time I'd walk into this big living room, it was drying, I get such a shock. I think, oh my God, Jesus is sitting right there. And then I realized, no, it's not Jesus sitting there. It's that painting. It's amazing. But she became a leader, and she lived, when I was in her home, she was over 80 years of age. That was 40 years later. And she was in big business making talcum powder. The whole house smelled like talcum powder. I remember waking up one afternoon, I had a little nap, and I woke up and I said to my co-worker, Alice, I said, Alice, I smell Jesus. I said, there's a fragrance of heaven in this house. And we got so blessed, we found out it wasn't the fragrance of Jesus, it was Grandma Todd's talcum powder. She was in the business of manufacturing a new batch of it. So that's the visitation of God to the Buddhists. It's happening all over. And as you know, Jesus appeared to many, many people in Indonesia. Then and now again he's doing it. And he's appearing to many Muslims. Many.